2017 was a banner year for board games. Check out this massive pile of awesome board games. If you haven't played all these games, that's okay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go through our top 11 and we're going to give you a general idea of some of these that I think you might be interested in. We've also got quite a few here that are going to make the honorable mention list. I'll put those in the description below so that you can also check those out. There's a couple people that you should check out. Rodney Smith with Watch It Played, Rotto Richard Ham. There's a ton of great reviewers. Man vs. Meeple. They do great reviews. So if you ever see any of these that I haven't covered, please dive into those other guys. Check them out. They do some great work. So at number 11, kicking off the countdown, is Unearthed from Brother Wise Games. This is a fantastic gateway game that gives all the players a lot of choices, tons of interaction, and who can outsmart the other and get the most points out of their minds? Well, let's go to the table. I'll show you how it works. Okay, here at the table, we've got everything set up. Here we've got our mines that we're going to be attempting to get and mine those gems out of. You've got all your stones in this little sweet little bag over here. I've got a 2-player setup, so you can quickly see. Everybody starts with 2 Delver cards, and I'll show you how those work in a second. And we all start with 1 mine in the bank. So this is probably going to tell you what other mines you would like to have as a player, because scoring at the end of the game is based on sets. So if you can get 2 of the same color, you'll get 6 points. 3 of the same, 12. So if you could get all the way up to the 5, I mean, that's a lot of points. There's also a set bonus if you get 1 of each color, and there's also points for all of your wonders, and I'll explain those in a second. So on a turn, what you're going to do is you're going to take 1 of your 5 dice right here, and you're going to choose one of the mines that you want to go after, and you have to tell everybody, and then you roll your dice, and then you apply it. When the total dice on a card reaches or exceeds the number value here in the upper left-hand corner, that's when we determine who wins that that particular mine. So we all have a D8, 3 D6, and 1 D4. So you could say, I'm going to go after this blue. You roll it. I rolled a 2. I'd put that there. Now 2 of the 11 has been claimed on that mine. Now other players will take their turns, and they can choose to add to there, or they could choose any of the other mines. One of the things you should know is if you roll a 1, 2, or a 3, you take the stone, if there's any available, from that mine. And then you start building this little network of these little stones. That's where our cathedrals and our wonders come in with our stones. And as you build these little hexagon patterns on your table here, that might look something like this, when one is complete, if you've met the criteria, then you get the points. So like there's 4 special in a 2-player game here that have some very special situations if you can complete. So like that obelisk. Yeah, I cannot say that. I'm from Alabama. When an opponent builds a wonder, you may draw a stone from the bag. So that'd be a pretty awesome special ability to have, and you need that black, red, blue, yellow, and then 2 of any other color. So you're going to be going after stones to try to make that situation happen. Here, this one you need 4 blue and then 2 of anything else. This you need a set of 3 and a set of 3. The lesser and the greater are always kind of like standard for the game. And so pretty much lesser means you just get 6 of any sort, and then a greater wonder means you've got all colors that are the same. So that's something to consider as you are planning out what you want to do. Now these are drawn randomly from the back, and it's based off the number here. So as somebody claims a mine, you'll pull that out, draw the new from the deck, and then you'll add the stones randomly. So this player rolled a 2. So let's say this player also, they have green. So they want to go after the green, or maybe they say, they don't want to let this player get this light blue water tile. So they get their big one. They get the D8 out. Obviously, you can go all the way up to 8. Boom, rolled an 8. That never happens. So now that is at 10 of 11. So 1 more point on this mine, and we'll go to scoring. So the way the scoring works, let's just go ahead and say the red player really wants this. They're going to see if they could tie them, roll an 8. They didn't. They rolled a 7 on their D8. So now it goes to who has the highest dice on the mine, and that is the blue player. So it is not the combination of these 2 numbers. It's not 9 for red. It is 8 has the highest ranking dice with the highest number, so they win. So when everything is returned, if you have not
got the stones off of that card, they go back in the bag. However many dice that you've placed, if you didn't win, they come back to you. You get to draw those amount of Delver cards. Delver cards are great for, and then obviously this would go back to who won it. They would put it face down. New card would come out, and we would seed that with the stones. Delver cards are great because they give you some strategic advantage. So before you roll your dice and you choose where you want to go, you would, like this one says, choose a number, reroll all dice showing that number. So maybe maybe the blue player had a 5 here and an 8. Or let's say they had a 4 and an 8. So they were sitting on 12. You said, hey, I'm going to play this. All 8s must be rerolled. So if there's any other 8s out there, you have to reroll them. He rolls, he rolled a 2 this time. So now that is his situation. You might be able to beat him. You might have a low one that you want to see if you can do better with. You have a lot of options with the strategery of these cards. That's the game. You play until all the mines have been claimed, and then the very last card that's going to come out, there's a deck of these called the End of Age cards, and they all have different conditions. So this one is called the Gathering, and -1 to all dice rolled for the rest of the game. So as soon as that's revealed, everything is a -1. They have a bunch of different things that go on. There's one that's actually worth negative points. You don't want to win, but somebody's going to get it because you have to keep playing until everything's claimed. That's the game. Simple, straightforward, lots of fun, lots of, hey man, don't go after this one, don't go over there. Oh, if you roll a 7, you'll win it. And they roll and they hit a 7 or they don't. So a lot of fun in the dice rolling. That is Unearthed from Brotherwise Games. Check it out. Great game. Number 11.
At number 10, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. The Godfather, Coreleone's Empire. This is a fantastic worker placement-esque game of tons of betrayal, resource gathering, and just outmaneuvering your friends. So let's go to the table and let's check it out.
All right, so here we are at the table. I've got the Godfather set up for you guys to check out. So in the game, we're going to be vying for these different turfs in Manhattan, and we're going to be doing jobs, as you can see over here. I have some set out on the board, and we'll be placing our thugs and our family members into these areas to enact certain things. So this is a real Euro resource management game. Has a real cool situation where you have your suitcase, where as you collect things, you'll be putting them in there, keeping them secret throughout the game. As the game progresses, you get to gain more of your family members to do more stuff out on the board, and you can also gain these allies that have different effects, like the Union Balls here. If you gather him in and you bribe him into your arsenal, you can move the Union Balls to an unoccupied business, thug space. Shake down the front of that business like a thug. So it kind of gives you an extra worker there. They all have different things they do. So on your turn, one of the things that you would do is you would pick one of your, let's say it was the purple player's turn, and they wanted to go here. So the thugs have square bases, so it makes it really easy to see. I'm going to the front of this location, and I'm going to get this thing. So this is going to let them draw one of the job cards over here. Now the job cards, you get them, and you need to have those resources to enact what it does. So once you have some dirty money, a gun, and some alcohol from collecting the resources, and you collect those resources out here, like if I went here, I would have drawn a gun. If I would have went here to the front of this place, I would have got liquor. Once you have those things, you can turn this in, and you can enact what it does. So this does shake down the front of any one business, even if it already has a thug, and you also get $5. So you can do some combos there that are pretty nice. One of my favorites, I think one of everybody's favorites, is the car bomb. Gun down all enemy player figures in one turf. So if somebody's going to be outgunning you at the end of the round in one of the areas that you would like to have, then you can play the car bomb if you can get enough guns to make that happen. And what that means by different areas is when you place a family member or anyone else at the end of the round, we're going to account for each turf how much influence and control is in that space. Then you will get to place a turf token in that for the end of the game scoring. And then whoever has the most of each in each area at the end will get some extra points. And that's one of the main ways you win the game. So when you send a family member in, family members do not like to go to the front of the store and do any of the dirty work. They like to pull the strings from the background. And so you get to shake down the back of the store in that area of all the areas that it touches. So, like these pivotal places where there's like 3 points are really, really going to be contested, because you would get to pull a job card, put something into your briefcase, and pull a gun from this for your resources. So this is going to play out over 4 acts, just like the movie, and we'll add new locations on each act. There'll also be some other things that kind of come into effect as well. This has a really cool set of miniatures that come with the game, help you keep up with all the different phases. The game's pretty simple. It has, a really awesome rule book to work through. Very thematic, worker placement Euro type of game. This was a lot of fun. If you like yelling at your friends, they'll be, as people get knocked off, they get cement shoes and they go swim in the Hudson River, which is really awesome. Great thematic game, The Godfather, Coreleone's Empire, coming in at number 10.
Coming in at number 9 is Dice Forge. This is a fun game of getting to craft your own dice. That's right, you get to pull the sides off and construct your 2 dice in your system any way that you see fit. So you're going to be managing your resources and trying to go after some of the really cool cards that are on the board to make your dice be the most effective way they can. So let's go to the table. Let's check it out. Number 9, Dice Forge.
So here we are at the table with Dice Forge, and here is the market that you can use to customize your dice. Yes, that's right. These sides pop off, and you replace them with whatever you are purchasing from the market. You start nice and low at a cost of $2 to add these sides, but then it goes up as you go around, and they get more powerful and more fun. These across the bottom have some really special effects. And you get those and other different kind of things for scoring from your heroic feat track over here. So you have costs like these moonstones and up track, and then you've also got they're the firestones up this track, and then there's some that have a combo, and they have different points. So like that one's worth 26 victory points at the end of the game, but it costs 5 of each. If you look at your track, you start off with nothing. And so during a turn, every player will do a divine blessing. And I'll drop the dice on the floor and make it impossible for me to explain the game. You'll pick up your dice, and the active player is the one going to be taking their turn at the market and the board, but everybody gets to roll their dice on a turn. So here, I just rolled a 1 gold and a 1 firestone. Okay, so I would get an additional money, and then I would get 1 firestone, which is awesome, right? So now I have these resources to go to the market. Now, if I had a card, there's some cards that have some ongoing effects. I could activate that now. But let's just say, for the sake of doing some funsies, I have 4 money to spend, and I just want to go hardcore money. There's this 1 tile in the block of 4 that I could upgrade my dice to get this on here. So I'm going to pull off this 1. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. So that pops off. That goes to the abyss. Now I add the 6 to this dice. And now the next time I roll, I might roll that 6. So I'm really going to want to, diversify my dice. The turn order would pass to the next player, and then we would all roll again. So they would have gotten whatever they would have gotten from the previous roll. So you can start really stacking things up as you play the game. And so maybe I would have got lucky enough on this one. I did not roll that 6, but I still did get 2 money. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways that you can customize your strategy to try to score victory points for the end of the game, because the game is played over, depending on player count, 9 or 10 rounds. Once everybody's taking a turn, that's a round, and this will keep moving up the track. When you go to a place, you occupy it, and you kind of lock it down until somebody bumps you off of it. So that is the general consensus of the game. You're going to try to customize these dice by the end of the game. They're all going to have all kind of crazy different things on there. There's some multipliers, like that right there gives you a ×3. So if I put a ×3 on this dice, and then I had my 6, I could be rolling 18 gold in 1 turn, which is crazy. But that's Dice Forge. It's a lot of fun to customize dice. So, all right. On to the next.
At number 8, we have Century Golem Edition. Now, there's 2 different art versions to this game. The one that you're probably going to be able to find more easily is called Century Spice Road. But I have the Golem Edition, and I think it's prettier, but that's just me. Let's go to the table, and I'll show you how it works.
All right, so we have Century here on the table, and let's go ahead and explain the gems. So you've got this hierarchy of gem situation here. We've got the yellow, then the green, then the blue, and then the pink, as in order of cheapest to most expensive. And so you're going to have your little caravan here. You can hold up to 10 gems at the end of your turn. Anything that would go over has to go back into the bin. And you've got your 2 starter cards. Your 2 starter cards, I'll explain those in a second. You've got your open market here of cards that you can add to your hand. And then you have the cards here are your scorecards. So you see that 14, the 8, and the 20, those are in-game victory points. And so when you get the appropriate gems on a turn, you can turn those in and claim those points. On your turn, you can do one of 4 things. You can play a card from your hand. So I could play this card, either one of these cards from my hand. This card lets me upgrade two upgrade actions. So I could exchange this yellow for a green and this yellow for a green. Or I could have taken 1 yellow and done 2 upgrade actions. Bloop, bloop, and turned 1 yellow into a blue. So then that's played. It's down. It's out of my hand. No longer an option. Now this is the other card that I have in my hand. Or I could acquire a card. So from the open market here, you can acquire the card on the end for no cost. If you want to go up the line to get any of these other cards, you have to place a gem of some type on there. Then you can add this card to your hand and it's ready to be played. So what this is going to do is going to kind of build your engine on how you're going to do the things that you want to do in the game. So that would come out and we would have another card and everything slides down. So anybody who comes after us and picks these cards up are also going to get those gems. So if you go up the line to pick up a card, you're going to be giving other players an advantage with the gems. The other thing you can do is you can rest. So when you rest, you actually get to pick the cards up that you've used and add them back into your hand. Now you have all your options again. And on your the fourth action that you could possibly take is when you have the gems that you need, you can turn those in to claim these. The game ends when the 5th point card has been picked up. So you may only have 3 because you've been going after some of the bigger ones that cost a lot more. Other players may have been going after the shorter ones. They can hasten the end of the game. Also, if you take the cards from this spot here, these are extra points at the end of the game. So you're going to want to kind of maneuver around the board with your little engine, trying to figure out how to convert these gems into the types that you need to get these points up here. The game's really simple and straightforward, but it's a lot of fun, can be explained in just a few minutes, just like I did with you, and you're up and playing, and typically, as soon as this game's over, everybody at the table says, everybody that lost anyway says, I want to do that again. Let's play one more time. So that is Century. Like I said, Spice Road is probably what you'll be able to find, but I have the Golem edition. At number 7, we've got Barenpark. This is, if you like Tetris, this is a fantastic game. Very simple to play, easy to engage with your friends. It's a lot of fun, very puzzly. Let's go to the table, check it out. Barenpark, number 7. All right, down here at the table with Barenpark, as you can see the cover, I love this art on this game. So here's all your lovely Zoo Barenpark Tetris pieces. And here's your starting board. As you can see, you don't have anything on it. So when you cover up these spaces, as you'll see, you will be able to pull new tiles. So the starting player starts with like what they call the toilets, and then the second player would get a little bit bigger piece, and then third and fourth player, if you're playing those, get a little bit bigger pieces from there. And so wherever I choose to place this in the park, I'm going to get to choose a new tile from that area. So let's just say I wanted to cover up this cement truck, and then I can go to the cement truck area, and I'm going to pick whatever I want from there. Now you can't place anything on this hole. This is where we're pretty much prepping for these bear statues to go up, and you have to complete your tile completely, and then you'll get that. And as you can tell, everything goes down in numerical value. So the first person to take this is going to end up with that. That's victory points for the end of the game, so 7. After that, they keep going down. So let's pretend I want to take this one. I'm going to take the koalas because there's also these 3 in-game situations. And if I get 3 of the koala bears first, I will get to take that tile, and it's 8 points. That's the food truck streets. That's those tiles right there. If you can get 3 of those end to end, you'll get that. It's worth more because it's a little tougher. And then there's some polar bears. So on my next turn, I would have this in my bank to place down. You don't place it right away. I messed that up like the first 17 times I played the game. It feels right to go ahead and put it down, but that's not how this works. Over here, if you can twist and turn these any direction that you want. So, like this one, I can't get 2 of anything. But let's say if you're ready to expand, if you go on to the worker spot, you can choose it. You get to grab a new tile. And on the new tiles, as they come down, you can put them around your park any way you want. The first player to complete 4 of these is what triggers the end game. You can see you've got the big excavator, and the excavator are these really nice high point custom pieces that cover up a lot of terrain. So that would be their turn, and it would come back to this player. Now you've got this that you chose from the previous round to drop down, and let's just say they wanted to go right here, which would be a new tile piece. And you could, like I said, you could put that any way you want, and a wheelbarrow. So they're going to grab, you know what, they're going to grab the street, and they're going to see if they can work on laying this out for that in-game bonus from there. So back to here. So the turns are really quick. You've got to pay attention. Wait a minute, I did not. Oh, that was a bad move. So you wouldn't want to do what I did before for this player, because if you don't have any tiles here, you just have to take one from the wheelbarrow. And so, you know, they may grab this river tile. But that's their whole turn. They didn't get to place anything down that put you behind. So I wouldn't have done that. That was me being on camera, not paying attention. So here we've got, they're going to lay this down right there. And they're going to cover up that cement truck. And now you're going to start looking at what space you've got left. I've got these because I want to be the first one to cover up that tile and get that bear statue. So I don't really like what I've left myself. I'm going to end up having to put some toilets in there to plug up those holes. There's probably a joke in there somewhere. Let's go with this, and then we can put it there next turn and be good. So that's the way you play the game. You go back and forth, filling in your park, building it out, and covering up the things to be able to get the things that you want from here. Then you've got the in-game bonuses, and once that's triggered, once somebody has built, like I said, the 4 tiles, and these could be any configuration that you like. When you get these, you can build a square, you could build this situation, you could put them all in a row, whatever you're into. That's it. You're building a Barenpark with all these fun Tetrisy puzzles. A lot of fun. Barenpark. Hey everybody, we got number 6 here, Azul. This is an abstract game where you're going to be laying down tiles. And you know what? It's just better if I show you on the table. Let's go down the table and check it out. Azul's number 6. All right, we're down at the table with Azul. First thing you're going to notice is that it's pretty gorgeous. And you've got your player board. It's a little tricky to first figure out what's going on, but let me explain. So you have these 5 rows, and this is your grid. On your turn, you've got these pedestals, and I've got a 2-player game set up right here. You will choose one color that you want from a pedal, and you take all of those colors. Everything else goes into the middle. So, for instance, let's say I wanted to grab these 2 blues. Everything remaining would go to the middle. Now, I can place these anywhere that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and place them. I'm going to place them right here. Okay? So then it would be the next player's turn. They're going to do the same thing. Let's just say that they want to go ahead and grab these 3 red, and they're going to put them here and completely fill up this slot. Anything extra goes to the middle. Now, this is making its own location to choose from. The only negative is the first person to pull from there is going to get this marker. It makes them the first player, but anytime you have any spillage that you can't place in a row, it comes down here. What does that mean? Well, for instance, if this player would have really wanted to put these 2 reds here, but they had to take all 3 of the red, their extra would have come down. Now, this is going to matter a lot more later in the game when your rows are getting full, because once you've placed this red over here on this row, because at the end of the round, we will be moving all of these over. You only move over one of a row that is completely filled. Now you can never put another red on this row. So the game board starts to tighten up as the game goes on. All right, let's just say here this is exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted to be able to get this blue, to put it here. Now those blues are set for later. This is still, and let's see, this player, they're going to take these two they don't want the snowflakes, they want these. And here, let me show you why they would want these. So they grab those two, this comes to the middle. The reason they would want these is because when you score in this game, any row that's full at the end of the round, you get to move one tile over to its colored spot. So if this was the end of the round, they'd move this over. This would go to the discard. And then they would score 1 point for that. Okay, 1 point. And then the red row is also full, so that would move over, and it would come in as well. That would give them another point. Now, if they could have made this row blue and been under it, you score points for tiles that are also adjacent to what you just placed. So had this been blue like this, they would have scored 1, 2. Instead of just 1. And this also counts as you build things out. If this was a blue, and let's say that you had, this was your board, and you drop this blue in, you would be able to score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for that one placement. So you're going to try to align what you're getting to fall into place where you want it so you can score the most points. The game goes on, and the round would go on until we've taken all those tiles, and then we would move everything over, score those points. Any of the spillover would count as negative, and you can see it gets worse as it goes up. And then here, at the end of the game, once someone has filled in a horizontal row all the way across, that triggers the last round. And so you've got three different ways you can score points at the end of the game. Every horizontal row that you've filled up, you get 2 points. Every vertical row that you've completely filled up, you'll get 7. And if you are able to get every color placed down on your board throughout the game, let's say that you were able to do that, you had all the snowflakes, then you would get 10 points for the snowflake.
At number 5, we have Anachrony. Now, I can barely hold this box up because it's enormous. This game has so much stuff in it. This is a huge dystopian world where I don't even, the lore, you can read all about it. It gets really, really in depth. It's a gorgeous game, worker placement. You're traveling back and forth in time. We'll go to the table and take a look.
All right, so let's go to the table and check out Anachrony. This thing is, so as I was setting it back up, I realized that there's way, 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 way too much of a game here for me to really dive into and go over every detail. So I'm going to give you some general things to look into and a couple of reasons why I think it's really good. So this is a game that, it's a big investment, right? It takes a while to set up. It takes a long time to learn, but it's a very rewarding experience if you're looking for a deeper game. This is a deep strategy worker placement game. One of the things that's really cool is, so you've got your workers that you can recruit, like you've got scientists, and you've got politicians, and you've got engineers. Then you got, there's another one in there that's like good at everything. And so you're going to use those, and they get special benefits depending on where you send them that kind of lines up with what they're doing. So here, if you went to build buildings, it would cost 1 less. You send an engineer. Makes sense, right? So, you can do things on your player board. Like this is a player board with their miniatures and their exosuits. And so, this is the path of dominance. This is their player board. This is the area where you build buildings. And so you've got all of these different 5 stacks of buildings that have different effects. And so once you have the resources, if you choose to build, you can build these into those areas and pay for them. And now you have additional places that you can do things, like the yellow does mostly time travel, and the blue a lot of times has mostly to do with water because it takes a lot of water and to run this. That's like the main resource in the game. One of the really things that's neat is you kind of start with 3 exosuits that are just kind of like you just get these, right? Like these are your starting exosuits. So to go anywhere out here on the big board, you've got to put your worker in an exosuit, which is really satisfying to slot that worker into your exosuit and then send them out to do something, right? Well, if you need more, I mean, you have 6 total, but it costs nuclear power to power those up. So now you've got to spend, and that's just for 1 round. So you might spend that to be able to add an extra exosuit, but you have to do this all before the round starts. So you are doing all this planning, and you've got to try to execute it the best you can. Well, then, of course, like any good worker placement game, some people go to the slots that you want. So, the mining area might have some minerals that you need, but somebody beats you to it, taking the minerals that you needed to build the building that you wanted to build this round. Well, or somebody takes the building that you had eyed. That's just kind of part of a good worker placement game. But then you've got this track. This is the track that kind of, it's the track of the game. The game's going to be played over 7 rounds, so you play 4 rounds, and then a meteor is going to come and blow it all up, and then we've pretty much got 3 rounds to evacuate and get ourselves off the planet. So these represent like blocks of time. And so you can go into the future and borrow things from the future, but you have to pay them back, or you suffer consequences later. And every time, it's like any good game or any good time travel, it's dangerous. So you have to roll this danger die situation. That would never happen to me in a real game. I would never roll blank. But you roll those, and danger can accumulate. And again, once you have like 3 of those, really bad stuff happens. Stuff that like covers up, is not helpful at all, messes up your world. You've got these microchip situations that you're trying to collect. You've got just a lot of management between your workers because they get sleepy and need to rest, and then you've got to activate them. Then this is just the base game. Just what I have here is just the base game. The game comes with a ton of modules that I wouldn't even call them expansions. They're modules. So they let you add on certain pieces to the game to make it as kind of custom as you want. A lot of game here, a lot to chew on, a lot to get into. I've only skimmed the surface. This is one of the reasons why it's super satisfying. Luckily, I had a couple people in my group that helped me kind of dig through this, and we played it quite a few times. Really enjoy it. But it's one of those that you've got to kind of set off some time to sit down and play. It's worth it. Give it a whirl. See if you like it. Let me know in the comments below if you like this game, or if you just don't get into these deep games because you just can't commit that kind of time with your group. Okay, on to the next. Number 4 on our list today is Ethnos. This game is a ton of variable fun, easy to explain. Let's go to the table, take a look, and I'll show you why. All right, so down here at the table, checking out Ethnos. The game is area control, and you're going to need, it's really simple. On your turn, you've got 2 options. You draft an ally, or you play cards from your hand. So let me tell you why this is so much fun. So every game, you're going to have 6 different sets of tribes. This game, we have the merfolk, the giant, the dwarf, the skeleton, the elf, and the wingfolk. There's 6 more back in the box, so you get all kinds of crazy combinations and how these things work. But let me show you what these do really quick. So like the merfolk here, you advance X spaces on the merfolk track. That track's over here. When you pass these locations with a symbol on it, you get to put one of your markers on the board. Why do you want to put markers on the board? Glad you asked. On the different areas, they're worth these different amount of points. This is seeded every game differently. So you just mix them up, throw them out there, and then you put them in ascending order. So it's played over 3 rounds. And so in the first round, whoever has the most tokens on each of these areas is going to score those points. So as you can tell, 2 areas have no points. But your influence carries over from round to round. So why the gray area is worth nothing in the first round, it's worth 10 points in the third round. So you're probably going to want to put some influence out there, even though you're not going to get anything for it currently. How this works, how you play cards from your hand, is you can either match all of the same type. So if I had 3, let's just say 3 or 4 merfolk, I could play them down. The colors wouldn't matter. They could be all different colors. Or, adversely, I could get cards like these 3 green and play them together as a group because they're all green. So it's one or the other, okay? That takes a minute to get used to. Even me saying it sounds weird probably, but it's pretty intuitive once you start playing. Whatever tribe you leave on top is the power that triggers when you play these cards. So if I played the elf on top of these 3 green, it would say you may keep up to X amount of cards in your hand. So I could keep 3 cards in my hand, or the cards in my hand from if I had extra cards. Because once you play cards down, you discard everything else that you had in your hand. If I kept the dwarf in my hand, his power is this band counts as a +1 at the end of the age of scoring. That's important because all the bands that you've played score you additional points for at the end of the round. So if you can play a group of 6, you'll get 15 points. If you play a group of 2, it's only worth 1 point. So, you know, the dwarf, like this right here, would be a 4 instead of a 3. You've got the skeleton. They can't be leaders. They are just like cannon fodder for the group, but they can count as with any band of allies. You got the giant, who has this giant token over here. And the giant token says, if you've played the largest band with a giant leader, you'll score 2 points. And so you're going to hold on to this, and it's going to pass around to whoever has the largest band of giants by the end. Now, the way that the rounds work is you've got these 3 dragon cards. The dragon cards, at the beginning of the round, you'll take this, split it in half, shuffle those 3 dragons into the bottom half of the deck. So it's got a lot of push your luck in that you're trying to get the things that you want in your hand so that you can play down and get your tokens out on the board in the areas that you want. But you never know when that dragon's coming. And so if you take a card from the top or from the market, then it passes to everybody else's turn. Well, they may keep drawing from the deck and try to get the dragons out. That's the entire game. It's really that simple. You're going to be shuffling your influence tokens around on the board. You're going to try to have more than the other players. And this game plays really well at 2 players. So if you've got a spouse and you guys like playing games, this is one that I would recommend for a 2-player for sure. It has, like I said, it's simple. You can show it to anybody very quickly. You're up and playing in a few minutes. Simple choices, fun, Ethnos. Number 4. Unfair comes in at number 3 from Good Games Publishing. This is designed by Joel Finch, and it's co-branded with Simon. This is a game, you use cards to do your engine building, and you're building parks. And as the name suggests, it can be unfair. So if you've got friends who like to kind of stick it to each other, this is a fun game. It also has ways to turn that off if you don't like that. So it's one of my favorite games from 2017. That's why it's at number 3. Let's go to the table and I'll give you a... All right, we are at the table with Unfair. I really, really enjoy this game. Here's why. First of all, I don't mind a game that has some take that in it. I know that is... some people don't enjoy that, so just know that if you don't like that, that's something to consider about this game. But I think the take that is fair and balanced in the fact that the majority of the take that comes from these event cards. So on these event cards, it's got an upper piece and a lower piece. Typically, the upper piece is something that's going to help you. The lower piece is a take that you can usually send towards somebody. So you can choose to never do that. There's also these game changer cards right here. So like this particular card says World Peace. You cannot use event cards or part card abilities that affect other players. So you instantly, boom, you've changed it. You're only playing for your own tableau. That's it. So in general, let me give you an overview of the game. Here's the play order and how things are going to work. You're going to be taking cards and you're going to be building your park. And you've got people, you've got guests. You're trying to bring guests in through your main gate. You can have 1 super attraction. You can have 5 total attractions, and your guest capacity is 15. That's how you're going to make money, and that's how you're going to score victory points at the end. So you're going to be trying to build like some really big, gnarly attractions that have a lot of these victory points on it because you're going to score points by the end of the game. There's also these blueprint cards that have some specific situations that if you can get these going, then you'll get those bonus points at the end of the game. And typically it has multiple options, so you've got some leeway there. The game is played over 8 rounds, And the first 4 rounds are typically pretty easy going, and this is something that affects everybody at the table. The festive season, draw a park card. You may keep it or exchange it from a card with a market for the same build price. Hey, that's good. But the bottom 4 are not helpful. It's unfair city. So you've had half the game to build up your park. Now some bad stuff's going to start happening. So you got to kind of manage that. So typically what's going to happen is everybody's going to get to draw their event cards. They're going to choose one to keep. They're going to play it, right? It's going to happen. So then you're going to positively affect, or if you guys choose to play the all-out version, you could play some stuff on other people. Then you're going to have 3 rounds, typically 3 rounds here, of park cards where you can draw cards from the center, from the draw deck, or you can build things into your park if you can pay for them because they have a cost. So like this locker and coat shed costs $4. So you need to be able to do that. Here is an upgrade to a roller coaster. It's only for thrill rides. It costs $10, but it's worth 2 victory point stars at the end. So you're going to be managing what you need to do. You have some things that are pretty interesting. You have this loan card. Anytime you need some money, you can tap this, and it removes victory points at the end of the game, but you can also get money if you need to go ahead and get something rolling right away. I've got a couple examples over here put together for you. This is like the super attraction. So it is the Robo Apocalypse 2057, and I've started adding things to it as you would build it out. Here's a Twister roller coaster that has a couple of upgrades. So, some of those things you have to fight to keep them open. Sometimes things can close down your ride, especially if some of these city cards come into effect that kind of mess things up. But for the most part, you're just trying to build out your tableau here and get yourself the most efficient park you can. Can I just say that the art is gorgeous. Everything about this game, the art was done by Mr. Cuddington, David and Lena. They are just phenomenal artists, and there's so much unique art in the game. I know it's funny I just said that, and there's 2 identical cards side by side, but there's so much individual pieces of art in this game. It's pretty amazing what they did with this. Component quality is high. Everything's good. Really like this game. If you like tableau building, engine builders, this is a game for you to check out. This was number 3, Unfair. At number 2, Charterstone from Stonemaier Games. This is a legacy worker placement game. So I'm going to open up the box, no spoilers whatsoever, and I'm just going to show you the board and how the kind of general idea of the things work and some of the things that you'll be doing and unpacking in what is a legacy game. Maybe you've never heard of a legacy game, so I'm going to give you a little overview of that. All right, we're down at the table. We're going to take a look at Charterstone. Like I said, this is not going to be any sort of spoilers whatsoever. Once you open the box, this is what you would see. This is the game board, right? So it's blank. You've got your 6 empty charters that you will be filling in during your campaign. You play 12 sessions, and over the 12 sessions, you will build this board out in addition to also building out your tableau and things that you're going to be adding to your city. The cool thing about this particular game is once you're done building out the campaign, there's an overall campaign winner in addition to the winners along each session, but then you have a fully customized game that's specific to yours that only you, like, it turned out the way you would have it have done. So it's pretty cool that my version of Charterstone is not going to be anything like yours, and as we play it, we'll have different options. And so as you can see, like these little notches that are cut out here, that's where you take your stickers for the different buildings and the different things that you can add to your charter. And so it's really cool. There's some boxes of locked content that you get to open as you progress through the story. Like I said, our campaign is on the other. This is a double-side game board, and on the other side is our campaign. So I'm not going to show you that, obviously. But you do kind of work through the game. You can also buy what Jamie at Stonemaier has as a recharge pack. And so you can get this recharge pack and then do the whole game again. So we're having a ton of fun with this. It's really cool to kind of have a choose your own adventure kind of feel to making a worker placement game. So this is Charterstone. It is the number 2 game of 2017. Check it out for sure. And so number 1, 2017, my pick, this is my pick,
Dinosaur Island. This game is amazing. I love it. You can go over here, I think, or maybe that corner, and you can see where I already did an unboxing video of this because the game is amazing. And it's worker placement goodness set in a early 90s Saved by the Bell fluorescent color. Goodness is so good. So I'm gonna crack this open, go down the table and give you an idea. This is a big, massive game with a lot of fun stuff. So let's check it out. All right, down at the table with Dinosaur Island, my #1 game of 2017. Look at that art, so good. Look at this 90 goodness. Ah, I love the 90s. Saved by the Bell. Kelly Kapowski, how you doing? All right, we got some sweet, sweet dinosaurs here, and you got your board. So what you're doing is you're trying to make dinosaurs. You're trying to make the most outrageously exciting park that you can. If you do that, you'll score a whole lot of points, and you will dominate your opponents. And so with that, you need to use DNA to make dinosaurs. But dinosaurs can get out and eat the people in your park. That's bad. Nobody likes that. So you also have to manage your threat level, because if you put big, nasty, gnarly dinosaurs in there, you've got to up your security level. You also need scientists to help you do the things. Then you also need your assistants to do their things. You're also going to be working through herbivores and small carnivores and large, angry dinosaurs that really ramp up the threat level. So let's just walk through this a bit by bit. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this because it is a bit of a heavier worker placement game. Then this isn't going to be just an entry-level type game. Really cool. The amber dice, those are all unique. None of them are identical. So you'll roll those out, and that sets your market. So in phase 1, your scientists are going to do work here. You've got a 1, a 2, and a 3 power scientist. And so you can take it, and let's say if you wanted to go here, you would be able to get 3 of that yellow advanced DNA. But your cold storage has limits. You can only take so much. So that would be a bit of a waste to put a 3 on there. Might just, if you needed a yellow for your formula, you might just put your 1 scientist there and get 1 of those. Okay? And so you're going to do that, and you can also use these scientists and their power to go onto the board to add a dinosaur recipe to your park. So let's say I did that, and I wanted to add the cacaws, that's what I like to call them. So now you can actually, if you could spend in phase 3, it'll be phase 3, this DNA, you could make this dinosaur. Oh, I forgot. You actually start with a dinosaur in his dinosaur, as they say in Jurassic Park. You can also use your scientists to go to cold storage and up your limits. So if you wanted to try to work that out in a strategic way, maybe you wanted to try to get those, you wanted to get a couple of the advanced yellow, you could use your 3 power scientists to up your cold storage in that area. Now later with a different scientist, you go to those and you get them. Interesting stuff here. You see the little dots on the pips? If anybody doesn't claim one of those, they slide over into the threat level for the round, for the whole group, and add at the end. And I'll show you how that works. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is a bit of a market buying section. And so you have these rows. This is a row, $2 row, $3 row, $4 row, $5 row. You have specialists. You have attractions that you can add to your park. And then you have upgrades to your workers and your worker board. And so you can pay the amount that fits whatever you're trying to do. Lots of different ways to strategize. Lots of different ways to customize your board. So the game, every time you play it, it's going to be way different. Every time I've played, I've tried something a little different, and I still haven't won, but that's fine too. Here, you've got 2 open slots. So when you buy these upgrades, they can go here. So now you've got more options on your worker phase. You can also cover up anything that you have already, but at least until you get these open spaces worked on, you might not want to do that. So that phase will happen. You'll buy those things. The specialists can come over here. You can have up to 3 specialists. Some give you extra workers, and then some also give you different abilities. Change the game a bit. So phase 3, we're going to use our workers here, and we're going to place them to do the things that we want to do. So this is where you would create dinosaurs. This is where you would refine your DNA to make the DNA that you need to make the dinosaurs. This is where you can upgrade how big your paddock is so that you can hold more
dinosaurs of that type. It can go all the way up to 4, so you can put 4 of one type in there. And you can also increase your security by paying its cost over here. You can also collect money, and then again, anything special that you've added to your board previously. So that's phase 3. So at that point, you'll go to phase 4. This is where we bring people into the park. We've made this exciting park, and now people are ready to come in. So from the bag here, we have visitors, and then there's also hooligans. And so there's more visitors than there are hooligans. But if hooligans come in, they don't pay. They sneak into the park, and you don't make money off them. And they take a slot at your attractions, jerks. Everybody else will pay, and so they'll come in, and you'll hopefully make some money off of those. So that's how you get more money at the end of the round. This is the point where your threat level and your security meet. So if you had built a dinosaur, let's say got you up to 3, but you hadn't increased your security yet, then you'll also calculate any of the threat that carries over from here. So right now, as it stands, we're looking at a 5 threat level to a 1 security. That means 4 people in our park would get chomped. And that's not helpful because you lose a victory point for every person that you allow to get eaten. And then you also, if anybody survives, you gain victory points at the end of the round for them being in your park. So you definitely don't want people to get chomped on by the dinosaurs and be T-Rex food. That's not good. Because also, the next phase, so then we do cleanup and you do everything over again. Here's your objectives. Here's how the game ends. When there's only one objective left that hasn't been claimed, that will trigger the end game. So I laid out the long game objectives. Here's one of the things that I really, really love about this game. They have short game objectives, a whole stack, medium game objectives, a whole stack, and long game. So if you've only got 45 minutes to play a game, boom, short game. You've got a good hour, hour and a half, boom. You want the full experience, you want to build the engine and take it all the way to the end, 2.5 hours, long game. So far, we've played the majority of our games on medium. We played one short, and we started on the long game. We had to end it because we had some stuff going on around the house. Anyway, I love it. I absolutely love it. Every time I've played it, like I said, I've tried to do something totally different. It's gorgeous. I just love the theme that I'm making dinosaurs. I mean, look at this pile of dinosaurs. It's so cool. The component quality is fantastic. I love managing this DNA and trying to, like, the math I'm trying to figure out over here of, okay, here's my I can't say it. I won't even try. I'm from Alabama. We're 49th in education. You've got the 5 different DNA that I got to get so that I can make this dinosaur. And I need those because at the end of the game, they're going to add 4 victory points and 2 excitement. And excitement, as you push up and you get more excitement in your park, that means you get to draw more patrons trying to come in. So as you bump this up, this is how many people you get to draw from that bag that I showed you. So here, I would get to draw 7 pips out of here and see how much money and victory points I get. So, and then at the end of the game, we score for however many dinosaurs. So if I'm able to upgrade this and get, say, 3 of these in this cage, then that would be 3. I would have 12 points. That's good math from Alabama, right? 3 times 4. Yep, 12 points in for the in-game totals. Then you would add in any money that you didn't use. It's 5-1. And then any of your objectives that you also scored. And that'd be your total score. So, and there's a lot of different ways. Like I said, you can even, like, you've got coasters, you've got restaurants that can score points. You've got different ways every time you play. And look at that stack. That's not even everything. Look at that stack of different concessions you can build and different upgrades. It's just a ton of greatness. It's good. It's really good. That's it. Dinosaur Island. It's my #1 of 2017. If you haven't got it, you should at least find someone who has it and give it a whirl. All right. That's it for today and for 2017. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys. Until next time, play more games.